if I told you that being broke is not always about how much money you make, but about how you think when nobody is watching? What if the real reason some people stay stuck financially has less to do with their paycheck and more to do with the stories running in their minds on repeat? And what if those stories are so quiet, so familiar, and so sneaky that you call them personality when really they are programming? Because let's be honest, some people work hard and still struggle. Some people are smart and still stay broke. Some people pray, plan, budget, side hustle, and even download every finance app known to mankind. And yet still somehow end up asking, where did my money go? If that sounds familiar, stay with me because today we're not just talking about money, we're talking about the psychology of wealth. Welcome to Doxalin. I am Linda Daisy Adams, and on this channel we talk about wealth building, leadership, and personal development in a way that actually helps you grow and not just feel motivated for 80 minutes and then go back right to online shopping. So if you want to build your mind, your money, and your future, you are in the right place. And today, I want to walk you through 7 hidden mindsets that quietly keep people broke. And more importantly, what to think is that. Because if your habits build your future, your mindset builds your habits. And if your thinking doesn't change, your bank account will keep acting like it's on a loyalty program or struggle. Let's get into it. Before we get into the 7 mindsets, let's start here. Money is not just mathematical. It is emotional, it is behavioral, it is psychological. That is why 2 people can earn the same income and end up in completely different realities. One saves, invests, builds, and goes. The other spends, panics, recovers, spends again, and then says, I don't know why I'm not getting ahead. Same income, different mindset. And that is important because many people are trying to solve a mind problem with a money strategy. And now, don't get me wrong, strategy matters, budget matters, animal investing matters. But if your subconscious beliefs are fighting your financial goals, your beliefs will usually win. Your mind is like a thermostat. If you set the temp at one temperature, the room keeps coming back to it. If your internal thermostat is set to, I never have enough, rich people are shady, money leaves fast, success is stressful, or stuff like I'm not just good with money, then even when more money comes to you, your life will find a way to drag you back to the old set. That is why some people get a raise and still stay broke. That's why some people start a business and still feel poor. Because money can change your situation faster than it changes your identity. And if your identity has not caught up, your old thinking will sabotage your new opportunities. So when we talk about wealth, we cannot only talk about the numbers, we have to talk about the beliefs. We also have to talk about the emotional patterns, what you learn growing up, what you secretly believe money says about you. Because whether you realize it or not, your financial life is often the visible result of invisible thoughts. And once you see that, everything starts to make sense. The first mindset that keeps people broke is thinking that money is morally suspicious, not publicly, of course, but internally, deep down, this little voice whispering. Too much money changes people. Rich people greedy, wanting more means you're selfish. If I become worthy, people will judge me. Good people should be humble and not care about money. Now, let's be honest. A lot of people don't hate luck. They hate the image they have of wealth. And that is a problem because you will never wholeheartedly put things makes you a bad person. You will sabotage what you subconsciously despise. A part of you thinks wealth makes people arrogant, corrupt, cold, disconnected, or even fake, then another part of you will make sure that you never fully step into it. You will procrastinate, undercharge, hide your efforts, feel guilty receiving, and shrink when it's time to. Now, let me say something clearly. Money is character. Money is an amplifier. If you are generous, money lets you be more generous. If you are disciplined, money gives you discipline more. But money itself isn't the villain in the movie. It is a tool, a resource, a magnifier, a responsibility. And wanting more of it for the right reasons is never evil. In fact, sometimes pretending not to care about money is not spiritual. Because if you really want to help your family fund your vision, support causes you care about, or even create opportunities, build legacy, and solve problems, then yes, money matters. Not because money is everything, but because in the real world, money affects almost everything. Try telling your electricity bill that money doesn't matter. At some point, we have to stop acting like financial growth is somehow dirty. So here's the shift. Instead of saying, I don't want too much money, say, I want to become the kind of person who can handle wealth with wisdom. That is a different conversation. Second mindset is thinking that money is mainly for consumption. In other words, money comes in and your first instinct is to ask, what can I buy? What can I upgrade? What can I reward myself with? Now listen, I'm not against enjoying life. I'm not here to fight your handbag, your holiday, or that branch of yours, or I have suffered enough, so let me order dessert moment. Please enjoy life. But if every increase in income becomes an increase in lifestyle, you are not building wealth. You are decorating cash flow. And there is a difference. Wealthy thinking would ask, how do I make this money produce more money? Growth thinking asks, how first can I turn this money into stuff? One mindset plans, the other consume seeds, and that is why many people stay in financial cycles. They do not give their money an assignment beyond bills and pleasure. No investing plan, no asset building plan, no ownership strategy, no long-term thinking, just spend, recover, and repeat. And then they wonder why they feel trapped. Let me put it simply. If all your money does is leak, your life will always feel like a leakage. At some point, money has to start working for you and not just living through you. Maybe that looks like savings, starting a business plan, learning a high-income skill, writing a book, building a digital product, creating a course, investing consistently, or even starting something small that can go over time. But the key is this. Some of your money must become a builder. If every dollar is either a bill or a track, your future never gets a vote, and your future deserves a vote. So the next time money comes in, don't ask only, what do I need to pay? Ask, what portion of this can I position? That question alone can change your life. Now, this one is sneaky. You hate paying the bill, you hate paying for the service, the expertise, the convenience. You hate investing in support. You hate spending on anything that requires stress. Everything feels like a loss. It feels like these people are taking my money. Now, yes, discernment matters. Not every price is fair, not every offer is worth it. But when a person develops a deep emotional resistance to paying in general, something happens. They become tight, fearful, suspicious, and even reactive. And that same energy shows up when they try to receive money. Because if you believe asking for payment makes someone annoying, pushy, or even opportunistic, then how will you feel when it's your turn to charge? You will hesitate. You will apologize for your price. You soften your offer until it disappears. Sometimes people struggle to receive because they have demonized the act of exchange. But healthy wealth is built on healthy exchange. A problem gets solved, value is created, compensation is received. That is not corruption, it is commerce. Now, if a plumber fixes your leak, you pay them. If a coach helps you, you pay them, same as the designer. If you provide transformation, leadership, insight, strategy, educational service, you also deserve to be paid, not to worship, not overglorified. Pay. That is how value circulates. So instead of emotionally shrinking every time money leaves your hand, practice a healthier thought. That is maturity. That is abundance. And no, it does not mean you suddenly start throwing money around like a bullying in a music video. The fault mindset that keeps people broke is that they only know how to make money by time. Work is honorable, skill is valuable, employment can be a blessing. Business service is valuable too. But if the only way you know how to earn is by being personally present every single time the money is made, your income always have a ceiling because your time has a limit. You only get 24 hours in a day. And unless somebody has discovered how to invoice the moonlight while sleeping, we are all working with the same plot. That is why asset building matters. An asset is something that can keep producing value after the initial effort has been made. Could be a book, a course, a content library, a digital product, an investment, or even a scalable business system. Something built once and leveraged many times. Now, building assets is not glamorous at first because when you build an asset, the work often comes before the reward, and that frustrates people who are emotionally addicted to immediate evidence. You work on that week and nothing happens. You create that course and nobody claps. You record the videos in your bank account does not immediately stand up and salute. It takes time, but that does not mean it is not working. It means you are planting in a system that rewards consistency and not drama. Many people stay broke because they need applause too early. They quit in the seed state because it does not look like harvest, but the wealth often grows quietly before it grows visibly. That is important. If you want more freedom, you must eventually ask, what can I build that can keep paying link? That question can lead you into a completely different financial future. The mindsets that keep people broke is that they think knowledge, life experience, and skills are too ordinary to monetize. They tell themselves, who would pay for that? Everybody knows this, and now I still have things to learn. There are people better than you. You also have to know that there are people behind you, and also the people behind you do not need perfection from you. They need perspective, they need simplicity, they need someone who can explain in 10 minutes what they have been confused about for 10 months, and that matters. Sometimes we dismiss what is valuable because it feels normal to us. You may be great at organizing or great at teaching, and because it feels natural to you, assume it must not be valuable. You are wrong. What is obvious to you may be the breakthrough someone else needs. Your normal may be another person's miracle with decent lighting, and that is especially important for your channel because content is one of the greatest ways to turn lived wisdom into scalable value. YouTube is not only a platform for entertainment, it is a platform for tracks. So stop waiting until you feel like a flawless genius wrapped in confidence and soft background music. Start with what you know. Start with what you've overcome and the things people always ask you for help about. There is value there. And if you never learn to honor it, the world cannot benefit from it. And now this one is everywhere. Mindset. People want appearance of wealth more than the structure of wealth. That is a trap of modern life. People want the aesthetic before the assets. They want luxury before liquidity. They want the applause before ownership. And social media has made this so worse. Now everybody can rent a vibe. A car that's not that is finance. And because it looks good online, people imitate it offline. But every image is expensive when it is unsupported. A lot of people are not poor because they lack potential. They're poor because they keep purchasing symbols instead of systems. They buy what says I've made it before building what actually makes it. I am not against nice things. I like nice things because nice things are actually nice. That is why they call them nice things and not regrettable objects purchased during an identity crisis. Like timing matters. All that matters, structure matters. If the outside rises faster than the inside, pressure will expose that. So ask yourself, am I building wealth or am I performing wealth? One brings speed, the other brings pressure. Now, real wealth is quieter than people think. Real wealth often looks like boring. It looks boring before it looks beautiful. Real wealth says, I don't need to prove. That mindset will save you from a lot of foolishness and probably a few online purchases you were calling self-care. The seventh mindset is that people think their history is stronger than their possibility. Maybe you grew up around lack, where money was always stressful, adults fighting about bills, and success was mocked. Maybe ambition was discouraged and nobody taught you about investing, ownership, business, leadership, discipline, or even wealth. And if that is you, hear me carefully. Your past may explain your part, but it does not have to imprison your future. You can learn, you can rebuild, you can become financially wiser than the environment around you. But you have to stop introducing yourself to your future using the language of the past. That may be your history. It does not have to be your identity. And identity matters because people act in alignment with who they believe they are. If you believe you are always behind, you will always make decisions from panic. And if you believe you are not the kind of person who builds wealth, then you will always unconsciously reject opportunities that require growth. And at some point, healing and discipline must meet. You cannot affirm your way out of every problem. And you cannot shame your way into transformation either. You need a new internal script. That is not fantasy, it is responsibility. And that is where change begins. Now let's get practical. If these mindsets have been showing up in your life, how do you actually change? Because hearing truth is good, but applying truth is so much better. Here are a few ways to start rewiring your wealth psychology. Number one is audit your money language. Listen to what you casually say. Stuff like, I'm broke, I can afford that. Rich people are different, I'm terrible with money. Your words reinforce your wiring. So instead, practice language that is honest but constructive. Stuff like, That is not my priority right now. I am learning better financial discipline. I'm building capacity. I'm focused on growth and not impulse. You don't need fake positivity. You need intentional language. Number two, separate guilt from goals. If making more money makes you feel guilty, ask why. Who taught you that? What story are you obeying? Who benefits from you staying small? Because sometimes people carry inherited beliefs that have never been examined, and unexamined beliefs quietly run lives. Number three, give your money a purpose before it arrives. Do not wait until the money shows up to decide what it makes. That is how impulse wins. Tell your money where it goes. Some may go for living, some for saving, some for building, some for investing, some for learning, and some for giving. Money with no plan becomes emotion with a debit card, and that rarely ends well. Number four, build one asset at a time. Do not overwhelm yourself trying to become a whole corporation by next Tuesday. Start with one thing, one system, one investment habit. Wealth does not always begin dramatically, but sometimes it begins with one disciplined decision repeated until it becomes identity. Number five, practice receiving without apology. If you provide value, stop acting shocked when payment is appropriate. You do not have to become arrogant. Just stop becoming uncomfortable every set compensation enters the room. You are allowed to be paid for work. Smile, say thank you. Send that invoice, drink water, and move on. And now let me talk for 1 minute to the person watching this video who feels behind. You probably feel late. You feel like you should have figured this out by now, or you feel embarrassed by your mistakes. Don't be scared to start over. Don't be discouraged because other people seem ahead of you. You are not disqualified because you took your time or because you lacked guidance or you made the bad decisions when you knew less than you know now. Growth is still available. Wisdom is still available. Start where you are. You can start where you are. And no, it may not happen overnight. That is exactly fine. This is what you have to know. Anything worth building usually takes longer than impatient profess. But slower does not mean impossible, and delay does not mean denied. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is becoming the kind of person who can keep what they build. Because unstable success is so expensive, but mature success, it becomes legacy. And that is why on Doxalin, we do not talk about wealth in isolation, because wealth building, leadership, and personal development are connected. Leadership matters because if you cannot lead yourself, money will lead you. Personal development matters because your income often goes to the level of your identity. Your wealth building matters because vision needs resources. If you want to lead at a higher level, you need discipline. If you want to grow personally, you need honesty. And if you want to build wealth, you need both. You need to lead your habits, lead your spending, lead your emotions, your environment. Because your future will not be built by what you occasionally feel inspired to do. It will be built by what you repeatedly choose and do. And that is leadership. And yes, sometimes leadership looks like courage on the stage, but often it looks like saying no to nonsense in private, no to procrastination, no to avoiding hard conversations and pretending you are confused when really you are scared. That is leadership too. And that kind of leadership builds wealth from the inside out. So now let's review the hidden mindsets. People think money is morally suspicious. They think money is for spending and not building. They resent paying and therefore struggle receiving. They only trade time and never build assets. They undervalue what they know and they chase appearance of wealth over the structure of wealth. And they believe that the past is the final word on their financials. So none of those mindsets are permanent. They can be challenged, they can be replaced, they can be retrained, they can be renewed. And that matters because the life you want is not only waiting on more opportunity, it is also waiting on a stronger internal framework. And so you do not need to become a different human overnight. You just need to start thinking differently on purpose. One belief at a time, one habit at a time, one decision at a time. And before you know it, the life that you once felt impossible starts to feel normal. And that is how transformation works. Quietly first, then visible. So if you've been stuck financially, don't just ask, how do I make more money? Also ask, what do I believe about money? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about success? Because when your mind changes, your pattern also changes. When your patterns change, your results change. And when your results change long enough, your whole family story can change. You may not have started with wealth, but that does not mean wealth cannot start with you. And so I have designed a video for you on high income paying skills, because skills coupled with wealth building mindset leads you straight to the door of financial building. In fact, to financial building itself. And so if you want to watch that video on the kind of skills you can learn in this modern day in 2026 that can help you build wealth, then click on that video to watch more.